This is what an ideal solo cash grip should look like. And a lot of people don't really get it. But the biggest reason is they try to W key too much. They have this expectation that they need to get kills early in mid game. I don't know where it comes from. The problem is people have gotten better. You know, people have gotten better at fighting on average. Like they'll be like a really 200 to 300 PR player that's just like insane at fighting. Fighting has not become like the thing that you're supposed to be good at anymore because everyone's good at fighting. So if you want to differentiate yourself in competitive, you can't just be good at fighting. You need to be good at your discipline and your decision making. And when I say discipline, solo cash grip, honestly, that's one of the most important traits to succeed in a solo cash grip is you know what to do, right? A lot of people know what they're supposed to be doing. They just don't do it. They get tempted. They get into sort of situations where like, I just want to fight. I'm bored. Like, it's very immature, it's very unprofessional, and in my opinion, I don't think that's the way to succeed at all. Let's talk about Hydro's plan, right? And how he succeeds in solo cash grip. I think it's rather simple. It's very straightforward because I've watched this VOD already. It's quite literally this. So Hydro lands Butter Barn, right?
Yeah.
And he also works towards Spider-Man. And this is why this is most important. If you don't have this, it is very difficult to succeed in this meta. It is not impossible. So if you paid attention and you noticed Jamper, I don't think he used Spider-Man that much in round 2 on any East, and he succeeded. So it's not impossible. However, I would tend to not think that you're the special one. You're not Jamper, okay? That's what I would try to lean toward. Just make it as easy as possible for yourself. Don't try to go against the norm. Copy what everyone else is doing in terms of the successful people. If you go into any sort of high-elo lobby and then do a little thought experiment, like, okay, how many people have Spider-Man that are like really good pros? I think literally yesterday I went into an endgame, quickly like checked, like C, Scented, Too Fishy, and like another 2 pros. They all had Spider-Man in endgame. Number 2, he works towards metal. Right, this is the second step. You need to get your 500 metal or like 450 metal, whatever. Just get your metal up, get max bats ideally, and then you're set. Like, this is okay, right? And then, not kidding, sit still and play safe until 5th zone. This step number 3 is the biggest problem in Fortnite with solo cash grips in terms of like what people struggle with. This is not the problem. A lot of people land on Spider-Man, a lot of people get max metal, and then they W key someone. it just doesn't make sense because then they lose this. They like, get rid of their max metal because they're W keying so hard because they want 2 or 3 extra points. It blows my mind. I don't understand. If we watch Hydro's VOD right now, you're gonna see what he does. It's actually mind-blowing. And then in moving zone, you do Spider-Man box, Spider-Man box, Spider-Man box. And what I mean by this is the method to save as many maps as possible, because you're just boxing instead of tunneling. Tunneling wastes a lot of mats, and Spider-Man is your way of getting across zones. So never try to sort of tunnel. It is a big waste in solos, and I think you'll sort of go to third moving without needing an impact. So right off the rip, what do you notice about the timeline?
End game.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And there's a reason for that, right? Because if you try to do it early and mid, you can do it, you can get kills. It's just inconsistent. If you want a consistent way to win endgame in this specific meta where Spider-Man is a guaranteed good placement in endgame, then just play safe. Just make it to endgame guaranteed. And the best way to do that, not kidding, is to sit in a bush or sit in a building in a corner. Not even kidding. It's that simple. People don't want to do that because they feel like it's like cheesy or like you're playing too safe or like too scared. Like, no, get rid of your ego. It's horrible, right? It's one of the biggest problems, like I said, that a lot of people just struggle with, and I don't think it's a good idea. Like I said, what is he missing right now that he needs?
Spider-Man.
Okay, and that's exactly what he's going for. So this is the area close to him that he can get. This is what he gets. And I'm telling you, this is why he succeeds in round 1, round 2. Round 1, he gets, I think, 2nd place. Round 2, he gets 3rd place. And he makes money. Makes a lot of money. Spider-Man complete. This is done. Okay? Now he's going to work on metal. He goes back to the drop, and there's a kitchen in here that you can get a lot of metal from, too.
Yeah, I think, like, in 3rd game or something, he didn't have Spider-Man. Yeah,
because
I don't remember.
The difference is he might not have Spider-Man in third game, but he had movement. I guarantee it. Because he played in a way in the early to mid to get movement. Otherwise, he wouldn't, be happy sitting still. My point is, don't sit still if you don't have your win condition for endgame, right? Get your win condition first, which is usually movement in this meta, and then just play for endgame. Movement and max mats, and then you're going to succeed. The biggest thing that people don't understand in this case is that Ijo is actually good at fighting. He's a pro player, right? He can kill this guy. The problem is, what's the state of his loot gonna look like after he kills the guy? That's what's important. He's probably gonna have to use his slurpfish. He's probably gonna have to use a lot of mats, and it's not worth it. It's a risk. Yeah. And there's also a risk of getting third party. So what does he do? He farms wood and then leaves. He could have fought this guy. This guy sucks. Like, he probably knows he sucks. That's not the point. It's why take that risk. And eventually, I want you to see where he goes. He's maxing out his match right now. He's trying to get 5-5-5. He's also trying to work towards zone. Like, he goes for tags on people, maybe to check if they're white. But without an advantage, it does not make sense to W key. 5-5-5, sits on a hill, chilling. And the thing about Spider-Man is, like, you don't need center. The only center I would, you know, fight for is center third. Every other center zone you shouldn't need because you can just play safe. Because Spider-Man's so fast to traverse across the map. So you can play edge and then just go wherever you want in the zone like this. Like, really, really strong.
Yeah.
So it's not just like an endgame tool. Watch this, by the way. This is crazy. I'm pretty sure this is the game where he does it. And this is where he's going to be for the rest of the zone, by the way. This is, if you don't want to get W key, don't box up. This is a common mistake a lot of people make, is they just box up and then someone else, right, comes along and keys them, obviously, because they know they're in the box. So don't box up. It's obvious. Either sit like this, like how Hydro is sitting, or sit in a bush. Honestly, I prefer this over a bush. Because it's not obvious that you're behind the car. A bush, like, a lot of people sit in bushes nowadays. So it's like, people check them sometimes.
Let's say someone is coming to
It's an
take the
insta kill.
car,
Insta kill.
and
Yeah.
he gives him 100 damage.
Yeah. He probably keys him. He probably keys them.
The opponent boxes a lot and tries
Yeah,
to
in that case, if Hydro doesn't feel like he can quick dead him, that's the point, right? If you quick dead, you don't get griefed on your loot. If he doesn't feel like he can quick dead him, then he runs. He gets Spider-Man. He can easily disengage, even if he hit him 100. So if the opponent gets to a point where it's like he boxes out in 3 metal boxes successfully, then Hydro's gonna leave. But if Hydro feels like he can jump in on the first box that the enemy instinctively makes, then he's gonna take that kill. In terms of points, a kill, which is honestly like can take up to like, you know, a minute to 2 minutes if you really mess up, is worth 1 point. There are 30 placement points, and yet to this day, people W key for 4 or 5 extra points.
Yeah.
So far, like I said, we go back to the plan. This is done. This is done. He has actually max mats, and then look, right? And I think if you go into the next solo cash cup, Vic, and you like really focus in on being disciplined, if you just don't go for risks, you will succeed. And center third. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Doesn't make 2-3 boxes, sits in 1 metal box, and that's enough. And he's gonna pull fourth. Gets to center third. Probably won't pull he probably won't pull half zone. But that's what the Spider-Man's for, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a pad and Spider-Man, by the way, recognize this. Pad is cool, it's good, because it's like less risky in first moving to use the pad instead of Spider-Manning. Because Spider-Manning, like I said, you can get your spiderweb shot out, and also just like it's a risk sometimes to get beamed out of the air. But launch padding can be more reliable that way, because in that case, if you're launch padding, the only person that can really shoot you is height player. There's only one person. So in that case, it's like relatively safe. So if you have a launch pad, it's like a nice bonus, but believe it or not, you don't need it. You don't need the launch pad. Because Spider-Man just solves that problem. There's a lot of uses on the Spider-Man. Solo Cash Cup is a mental test, not a game sense test, honestly. You just need to have decent endgames and Spider-Man. In this meta, you don't need that much skill. Pads, like I said, and it's gonna be very difficult for someone to beam him. Doesn't land ulti low. I think that's kind of risky. Lands on a nice isolated layer that's elevated so that he can Spider-Man again, right? The problem with landing ulti low is that you can't chain your Spider-Man. You need to think ahead, right? If you land down here and someone buries you, like someone tarps over you, Spider-Manning then becomes very difficult. So you need to land high, like he does, over and over. Right now he's in a box, and then the next rotate is gonna be as simple as Spider-Man boxing. He's waiting for zone to get ahead, and then he's just gonna Spider-Man box again. This guy is distracted. He's looking at someone else. So this is actually a very good time to rotate. Because like not only is he distracted, but he's used a lot of his ammo, this guy, right? If he uses a lot of ammo, he's not gonna have ammo left to shoot him. So he pumps him aggressively, looks for the kill. This is what I was talking about. You don't need to commit to kills. Like if it doesn't, if you notice the opponent boxes, just because you went aggressive on him doesn't mean you need to finish the fight. Like just leave. Right? Like he notices this is going to become too much of a long fight because he did a metal box. It's not worth jumping in either. It's only a 50 HP advantage. Let's get out. Let's use the Spider-Man. Right? So like go for stuff, but don't commit. You don't need to full commit. You can always disengage. Why is he editing left wall instead of right? Because right wall has most people, so you know you can just edit left wall and not get sprayed. And if you want to like edit here, just make it 2x1. I think that's what he might do. We'll see. Yeah, makes it 2x1 so you can edit down. Down is a really safe angle to go for. He's really common angle that I talk about, honestly, it's like the right hand angle here. You can edit and place a cone if you get it successfully. Affects his third party angles because it's kind of dangerous. Really good predictive piece. Tries to catch him here. It was unlucky that he didn't, but all good. Again, what did I say? Don't commit to the kill. That guy's low as hell. You could jump in and kill that guy, but then it's a risk. You don't need it. Do you need it? It's 80 builds. 80 builds with Spider-Man. Do you need it? No, you don't. Not yet. You don't need the impact yet. You just need to play safe. And Spider-Man box again. Notice that he's only boxing once. He's not tunneling at all. Really good cone to cover the height player. So if you look at how it looks like from zone 3, it's really, really nice, right? You can look down. Honestly, this is a really, really good way to look down without investing on another box. This is a really good strategy. Good. It's just simple. So one mistake he made here is what?
Get the high.
Yep. Yep. Height was free. That's exactly it. And it was free for a few seconds. He either hesitates or just doesn't know. Maybe he thinks there's someone up here. Obviously, we have the benefit of like seeing the name tags, right? So we're kind of cheating. And he probably thinks there's someone up here or something. Like he's scared to go for height. He's trying to be risk averse, right? And honestly, if he noticed that, he would go for height. Like he'd probably thinking about it right now, but he just needs to hold and chill out. Like someone took height. Okay, all good. We have Spider-Man. We have 70 builds at this point, by the way, which is end of second moving. It's gone into third moving. Somehow he has 70 builds. He doesn't have a single kill. I mean, he has a kill, but I don't think it's an impact.
What do you mean by impact?
Like impact just means like he got a kill and he's able to loot the kill. I think he harpooned it, right?
Yeah, with the Spider-Man.
With the Spider-Man, yeah. Let's see if he actually gets mats, right? I think he does.
Yeah, he got, I think, Cypher. Brick,
yep.
50 brick or 50 metal.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. Siphon mats, yeah. One thing to notice, this is what I'm talking about, like patterns, like why you need to look for patterns. Except for this zone where he gets ahead, every other placement where he put his box is elevated. That's the pattern. And the reason he does that is to make sure he can continuously Spider-Man. In this case, this box wasn't here before, so he didn't have an elevation to land on. Ideally, I would be on the left side of zone because this is more elevated, so he can Spider-Man more easily. But regardless, it's not that big of a deal. He also doesn't have that many mats. So at this point, you stop the Spider-Man boxing. There's only 7 people left. You need to start looking for kills to sort of find your impact. So I'm not suggesting you should Spider-Man box repeatedly, like over and over and over. When you get low mats, you should start looking proactively and aggressively for kills. So he gets ahead a little bit compared to this guy and starts spraying him. Spraying is the safest way to pressure someone. A lot of people feel the need to box fight. Box fighting is cool. Like, it's just, there's a safer method available. Why not use it? Just spray. A lot of people will just not build properly, right? So get the HP advantage and then go for the kill. You get sprayed from behind. He's not going to edit this wall. He's going to block his back first and then look for this play. Right? And then look for the play. Easy. The priority is to block your back. That guy's shooting you, right? This guy's not going anywhere. If you edit on this guy, you're going to continuously get sprayed in your back and die. So the order of actions here is very, very important. It sounds obvious, but a lot of people make this like very obvious mistake in solo cash grips and they don't realize it. This could be a high take, and honestly, I think he was considering it, but he gets edited down. But lucky for him, he gets out and then just gets ahead. Spider-Man box. Very simple. Has a decent amount of mats, so invest a little bit more. He has a 2x1. He wants to be a little bit more safer. Build. Looking back, you could maybe get this kill right here. This guy doesn't... I think it's pretty obvious he doesn't have a lot of mats, honestly, from this POV. He's not building properly. I don't think he should pump there. It will never hit for a decent amount. So you should always AR. Because if you really think about it, if you pump at that distance, you're giving him a warning and you're giving him more time to react with the build. It's better to beam him. The pump is like a pump gun swap delay into AR. It's not a good way to do this.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, a lot of people pump for like 10. I don't get it. Right? You're giving him a heads up, like, yo, I'm about to spray you. Like, why? Pump is only worth it if it's close range. Otherwise, just AR beam him. Beaming is the best way to get max damage. If he did the beam, he would honestly be down to like 50 to 100 HP instead of this. And I think that's a big difference. That could be a kill. Considering height, you can see that height is free from that angle. And I want you to notice the way he goes for height. This is very, very important. He just goes for like what I guess what people call in like drafts is like cucks, like cuck plays, like in a way like where you ramp over them, right? Or you cone them, and you just sort of mess them up that way. That's what you sort of want to go for, right? Like this, for example, he cones him. It's very hard to see, but he actually sneaks this cone here, and this guy gets completely screwed. And that's the fastest, most efficient way to steal height without investing a lot of your mats. Is just mess them up. Don't try to outbuild them. Just try to cone them and block them off. And that way you don't have to invest a lot of mats to get height. That should be your priority when you're going for height, honestly, is to mess them up. Because if you're both trying to like 90 without messing each other up, you'll both invest a lot of mats and grief each other. Really good wall, by the way, and then cones him after. Insane play. In that case, he should spray and then place the wall as soon as the other guy gets across it. He has 0 mats right now. He needs to pump this guy and do a lot of damage. This is scuff. But the point is, let's say he goes completely wrong. Let's say he messes up. 3rd place is not bad. Like, it's a lot of points. He's at 24 points. Trust me, this is way more than most people. A lot of people W key, get 3 kills and die on the 4th fight and get like 5 points on their first game. I don't think you had this issue with your first game. My point is, this is the same pattern that you should do in game 2, game 3 to succeed. Game 3 is where you need to continuously get Spider-Man and do well that way. And not get messed up early to mid. Get max mats and make sure you're close to max mats and half in. That's your priority. You can be good at fighting, but then use that skill set as like a way to sort of hedge people W keying you. One important thing that he does here is not shoot midair. He lands first. This is a very common problem that a lot of people run into. They try to like aim like, you know, while they're like falling. It's a hard shot to hit, right? And if you know you have HP advantage, just wait until you land. More reliable. Like, everything's calmed down now. Now you go for the shot. And then at this point, you have such a big HP advantage, you're just gonna win. But he still goes for a nice right hand peek to make sure he wins. Right? Very simple. Nothing crazy, right? Staying to the basics, right hand peeks, playing very safe early to mid, and using Spider-Man blocks pattern to successfully traverse the endgame.